Hi there, today I'm going to share with you 7 horse training tips that will help you move your horse training along faster and more smoothly. So let's get started. Hi there, my name is Laura and welcome to another video. If it's your first time here, hey, how's it going? And if you'd like to win more ribbons at your next horse show, improve your riding and training, and generally like other horsey related stuff, then subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything. So let's get right to it. What kind of horse do you have? Put it in the comments below. I'd like to know. Tip number 1, understand your horse. This sounds like a pretty basic thing, but you know, horses are wired a little bit differently than other animals. Horses are flight animals. They run first, ask questions later, and they run away from everything. I've heard it said that horses are only afraid of 2 things. Number 1, things that move, and number 2, things that don't move. So maybe that was just Arabians. I don't remember. Horses are flight animals, and when they feel frightened or afraid of something, they are going to run. That panic sets in and they just run. Their first response is to run first, ask questions later. If you want to progress with your training, you have to make your horse feel safe and comfortable. In order to progress with your training, your horse has to feel secure and confident. Have you seen those videos of police horse training? They have to feel very confident in their situations. In order to progress with their training, they have to feel confident with all of the things that are thrown at them. If they don't feel safe, they're not going to progress in their training, right? Same with our horses. If they're not feeling safe and comfortable with something, they are not going to progress to the next stage of their training. Imagine how quickly your horse will learn if it feels safe and secure and confident in itself. Only after the horse feels safe and secure will your training begin. You can't train a horse out of fear. Number 2 is you have to be a leader. Horses are herd animals and they instinctively follow the lead horse. Remember, leadership is not dominance. Leadership for horses is a way of life. Their life and their survival depends on a suitable leader that's going to take control of the situation and get them out of danger. Horses depend on a reliable leader to protect them. This could be something just as simple as putting down that cell phone. Don't divide your attention between your cell phone and your horse. Have a commitment to your horse that you're going to be a valuable leader to them. Number three, we're going through them. Number 3, keep it simple. When you're training a horse, you can't load up on top of your horse so many different things. You can ask them to go forward is one thing. You can ask them to go sideways is another thing. But to ask them to go forward and sideways at the same time, you may have to break that down into the simplest parts first. If your horse doesn't know what going forward and sideways is at the same time, then break it down. Ask them to go sideways, ask them to go forward. Make sure that they understand what forward is, make sure that they understand what sideways is, then put them together. Don't throw several different things at once at your horse. It's too complicated. They won't understand it. If your horse appears stressed about something, take a step back, break down those components into the different steps so that you can build on the previous step so your horse doesn't get stressed. If your horse is stressed, your horse doesn't feel safe, your training won't progress because he feels unsafe. Take those different steps, bring them back into the most simple, basic steps. Make sure they are trained first before you put them all together into one big thing. Keeping it simple, keep it simple for yourself, keep it simple for your horse, then your training will progress faster. Before progressing to the complicated thing, make sure your horse is confirmed in the simple things. Then put those simple things together to make a complicated thing. That's easy, right? That's how you get your horse trained. Taking those simple things, making sure they're confirmed in those simple things, and then bringing them together to make a more complicated thing. And this brings us into step number 4. Provide a good base for learning. And this really means that make sure that you have the basic things confirmed, that everything is a systematic progression, not just throwing something at the horse right away. Make sure that you have a progression to the point where you want him to be. And remember, there's no predetermined action for any of the aids that we use on our horse. If you want to get some more information about that specific idea, there are no predetermined actions for any of the aids we have in a horse. Take a look at this video right here where I talk about that just more in depth. We just talk about that. Before you ask your horse to do something, make sure there's a base and there's a context for them to understand what it is that you're asking. Don't take them out and expect them to jump an entire course of jumps without having first trained the horse how to jump. Yeah, I know that horses are natural jumpers, but to put 8 jumps in a row with lead changes, all those things, make sure there's a foundation and that you build upon that foundation so the horse understands what it is that you want them to do. Don't just come out and expect them to do everything because they haven't read the same book that you've read. And I've seen people get on horses and kick them and wondering why doesn't this horse move forward off my leg? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because it hasn't been trained. It doesn't understand what that means. All it knows is that you're kicking it at its side. It doesn't know that it's supposed to do something with that. That goes back to that no predetermined actions for any of your aids. The horse doesn't know that it's supposed to move forward when you're kicking it in its sides. It just doesn't know that. Why should it? Number 5, getting through them. Number 5, keep your lessons short. Keep your lessons short. There's no reason why you have to drill your horse. Get the job done, get it done correctly, give them a reward, and move on to the next lesson. If you want to see this particular point in action, take a look at this video right here where we were doing some jump, shoot, and a jumping shoot schooling, and so easy to do. We did several different small lessons building upon the previous lesson, giving a reward, and the horses were totally not stressed, and it was really good to see that we developed this program. So keep the lessons short, and if you want to ride for longer, great, who cares? But do a lesson, give a reward, let them have a walk and think about it for a bit, and then go on with your ride. Don't drill. Some horses take that, some horses don't take that. So just keep that in mind when you're riding. Keep a short lesson. Have one particular thing in mind you want to get done during that time frame. Get it done, then move on. And that brings us into the next thing. Keep it consistent. Keep consistent means that every time you apply an aid, you get a response. It always means the same thing each time. Don't change your aids every other ride. Put your leg on, the horse goes forward. That's the response you want, then great. If you're putting your legs on, you want your horse to stand there, then the next time it just confuses the horse. So if you have an aid and you know what you want it to mean, then have that mean the same thing every time. This is one thing that you get when you get school horses, right? Is that because there are several different people riding a school horse, that they just kind of tune out the noise of the riders and they just get dead to everything. So that's why the keeping consistent is important, so that when you get on your horse, it's going to do exactly what you want to do and you've trained it that way. The other part of keeping consistent is be consistent with your riding and have training sessions 3-4 times a week, 5 times a week if you're competing. Not ride for 4 hours one day and then wait 2 weeks and ride 4 hours again. If you want to train and progress with your horse, you're going to have to be consistent with your training as well on a daily basis. Number 7, and rewarding the horse doesn't have to be a big bag of carrots. It can just be a pat on the neck and leave them alone for a couple minutes. Leaving them alone, letting them think about things, what you've been doing, they can process that information, and then when you ask again, they're more readily available. They're more than likely to help you out. They're more than likely to get it done for you. They're more than likely to understand what it is that you want. As a horse show judge, I see a lot of people jumping the last jump and then overdoing the rewards after the last fence. Good boy, good boy. Yeah, he was a good boy, but you don't have to shout it. Horses aren't deaf. All you need to say is good boy. Give him a pat on the neck, give him a carrot when he gets out. And here's the bonus tip.
Here's a bonus tip.
Don't overdo it. This goes hand in hand with all the other things that we've been talking about today. Sometimes horses get flustered because if you continually do and do and do the same thing over and over again, they don't understand what part of it that they've done is correct. So get it correct. Get whatever it is you want done correctly. Leave them alone. Then move on to something else. Come back and see if he remembers it. More than likely, they will remember what it is that you've asked. But if you drill and drill and drill and drill and drill and do it and do it and do it, they get confused because they're not sure what it is that they were supposed to do because you're doing it and redoing it and redoing it. Remember, horse training is not a weekend sport. It's a journey. You're not going to get it done in one session. Think of horse training as a road trip where you get to enjoy the scenery along the way. My name is Laura, and if you'd like to win more ribbons at your next horse show, want to improve your riding and training, and generally like other horsey related stuff, remember to subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything. Now go use this stuff. Go hug your horse. Thanks now. Bye.